This is a Kirkendall Barrett presentation, darling.
You can touch it if you want.
Ladies, if you want to meet a man, check your storage closet.
Come on, Kendall. Take off your shirt and go camera shopping at Best Buy.
Good shirtless, not bad shirtless.
Yeah.
Well, it was gratuitous.
Yeah, it was.
I like a good grizzled man sometimes.
A lifetime of Hallmark.
Well, hello, everybody. It is your favorite day of the week, and it's time for another episode of A Lifetime of Hallmark, where we talk about your favorite movies on both Lifetime and the Hallmark channel and try to make sense of them. I'm Les Kirkendall Barrett. Hello, Jason Bowers.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett.
And hello, Kurt Fitzpatrick.
Hello, Les Kirkendall Barrett, and hello, Jason Bowers.
Full disclosure, I might be a little windy tonight, because I spent the afternoon at a chili cook-off.
Yeah.
So I've eaten a lot of beans.
It's good, though. It's good protein.
Yes.
Everyone knows he's windy.
Right?
Oh, and this wasn't the Wedding Veil movie that was set in the Windy City.
Yes.
This was set elsewhere.
Now I thought this movie. So what did you two think of this movie? Since there was with this, I call it Sammy Goes to Greece, otherwise known as, and the reason I call it Sammy Goes to Greece is the star of this one, Allison Sweeney, plays, Sammy Brady, the super bitch from Days of Our Lives. And so even though her name in this movie is Tracy, I always call her Sammy. But did you guys think that this had a different spin than the other two?
Yes.
I heard somebody like this movie more than the beloved coming of age movie, The Fablemans.
I did. I'll own it. I hated The Fablemans. I hated it. I thought it was so fucking boring.
Oh, damn.
If that weren't about famous director Steven Spielberg, nobody would give a crap about what is happening in that movie.
I have a confession. I've been watching it for days, and I haven't been able to get through it.
Because it's dull. Nothing happens.
You guys, he was going to cast you in a sequel to Always, and now I guess I'm the only one left who gets to be in it.
Oh, yeah.
No, I did not hate The Fablemans, but I didn't particularly like it.
I didn't hate it.
Let me rephrase. I hate it through the lens of, oh my God, isn't this movie so fantastic? Let's nominate it for all these awards. It's Spielberg's best work. It's not.
Nobody is saying that.
No. They're promoting it like it's so personal, it's his best work yet. It's not. It's not bad. No, it just isn't necessary.
Of his movies. It's on the low end of his movies, I think. And I would say there are flashes of brilliance because he's brilliant. But no, it's dull. Judd Hirsch, I couldn't even understand. He's nominated for an Oscar. I couldn't understand him sometimes. It's not very cohesive. It doesn't, everything doesn't add up well. You have beautiful Michelle Williams. She has to choose between Dana Plato and Seth Rogen. I mean, what?
Who's Dana? Dana Plato is the daughter on Different Strokes.
No. What's the guy's name? Paul Dano.
Oh, Paul Dano.
Dana Plato.
Yeah, she has to choose between Paul Dano and Seth Rogen. Steve Buscemi wasn't available.
Well, full disclosure, I am not as wowed by Michelle Williams acting in general as most people are, and I just thought she looked nuts in this movie. I realized she was playing a character that was had some mental illness, even though they never outwardly say it. But I mean, I don't mean it in that way. I mean it in the sense it felt like she was acting in a different movie than everyone else.
Was it a better movie?
Probably not, because she's still in it.
Like I didn't hate it, but I'd be watching the movie and then go, "Oh, 90 Day Fiance is on."
Yeah, I'd rather see that. Like, why was a monkey? The monkey was in the movie, I guess, because Spielberg lived with a monkey for a little while. The monkey doesn't have anything to do with the movie.
Is it forgot about the monkey?
Is it supposed to be because Raiders of the Lost Ark had a monkey, so we're supposed to remember from that? I don't know.
Well, yeah, I think those like beats are supposed to foreshadow like things we know about, again, famous person Steven Spielberg. If this were just about some like complete unknown, growing up like wanting to become a filmmaker, people would be like, I don't want to see that. That sounds boring. What's the point? Why are we making this movie?
Did you guys watch the Banshee?
Oh, go ahead.
Did you guys watch the Banshees of whatever yet?
I saw it
in Sharon. Yeah.
It's so because I'm going to. Did you guys like it?
Yeah, I did, but it's sad though. It's another depressing movie, but it's very good. I thought.
I was bored by it, but it's just kind of not my cup of tea. I thought both Colin and Brendan Gleeson, Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson were fantastic in the movie. I didn't care for the way this story was told. I think it was supposed to be a metaphor for something else, but didn't quite stick the landing. And yeah, I didn't love it, but didn't hate it.
Well, no, because I'm going to a live screening of it on Monday, and Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson are going to be doing a Q&A after.
Oh, nice.
Oh, neat.
So I'm excited about doing that.
Yeah, and they'll be great in a Q&A together because they're like real life friends, and actually like both are pretty funny in conversation, so that'll be good.
Well, the one I'm really looking forward to is next Saturday. Severance is doing one, and then they're having like a party with some of the cast after.
Oh, love that.
Oh, cool.
I'm very excited.
The movie we liked was To Leslie. You like that, right, Les?
Have you seen it yet, Jason?
No. Where can you see it?
On YouTube. It's available for like $7 to rent on YouTube or some other.
On Amazon, I saw it on Amazon. Yeah. I saw it on Amazon Prime, I think, and it was worth. And mine was like $6, and it was worth the $6.
It was. It's really great. I thought it was.
Yeah, I saw the trailer for it the other day because I wanted to know like what exactly this movie was because I'd never even heard of it until it got nominated. The trailer I did find a little troublesome because it felt like a lot of people doing bad Southern accents.
Well, here's the thing. Mark Maron, he does a Southern accent. I thought it worked for this movie. Now, it's not like I would say, I mean, I don't know what you thought about it, Les. It's not perfect.
I enjoyed him. I really enjoyed him.
Absolutely. It's I don't think he's perfect with the accent, but it really works for this movie. It kind of softens his character.
Who is he in the movie? What's his character?
He is kind of like her. He kind of rescues her.
Yeah,
got it.
And
yeah,
because basically, and this is no spoiler. The premise is she's a woman who won the lottery, and then it cuts to 6 years later when she had blown all of the money and was a full-blown alcoholic.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there's like some hard scenes, just like there are in all these movies, hard scenes. But the difference is, big difference is this movie is a redemption story, which I think was really nice to see. And it is really well acted. It's well done. I was like, unlike the Fablemans, this movie, I was interested in like every scene in this movie.
Yeah,
and
even though, and Mark Maron, his accent, let's just say it was good enough.
That's what I think.
I really enjoyed him in this movie. And, I've seen him in stuff before, but this was the first time I was like, wow, he can really act.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was amazing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I cried at the end of the movie. It was a beautiful experience.
What?
I think it was my favorite movie I've seen out of these Oscar movies.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
I'm still very much team Everything Everywhere.
I just rewatched that. That's still good. Yeah, that's good. I also liked Tar. I thought that movie can't be for everybody, but I thought I liked that movie.
Well, and the difference is, I liked Everything Everywhere from like the fantasy being like out there standpoint, but it was good. And as just, how would I put it? Like a human, how there's always like the human interest movie. Mm-hmm. This was good as far as that went.
Yeah. Like I'm not a son of immigrant parents, but my mom largely was. And so I sort of relate to that experience because it does feel different to grow up when you are growing up in different cultures than your parents did.
Mm-hmm. No, both were good.
Yeah.
And I would be, like if I forget her name, the woman who they had the writing campaign for, if she won,
Andrea
I wouldn't be mad.
Riseborough.
I wouldn't be mad at it at all.
It's actually Andrea. I think it's pronounced Riseborough.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think she's going to win.
Well, because weren't they trying to we're pissed.
There was so basis for those listening that don't know, the Andrea Riseborough, who's nominated for To Leslie, the nomination caught pretty much everyone by surprise because she hadn't been nominated for any awards leading up to the Academy Awards, like Golden Globe, SAG Awards, none of those. And she had gotten the nomination because a bunch of like big A-list celebs like Gwyneth Paltrow and Kate Winslet are like they like supposedly by word of mouth of this movie that only made $27,000 when it was released. Supposedly by word of mouth, all these A-listers are like, oh, I'm going to hold a screening and show everyone how great Andrea's performance is. So it looked, or at least it seemed like, hey, we should maybe look under the hood here and see if anything shady was going on in terms of how this movie got nominated.
You know what they hooked onto? Because I was reading up on that as well. They said that you're allowed to promote movies. You're allowed to do all the campaigning. What you're not allowed to do is you can't compare the performance you're campaigning to another performance to somebody else's performance to say it's negative. So what they did was they found that somebody did an Instagram post of a Richard Roeper review, where basically he said, look, he said, Cate Blanchett is fantastic in Tar. However, I'm going to go with Andrea Riseborough as the best performance of the year. And so they said, aha, you're putting down Cate Blanchett. Cate Blanchett, during her Golden Globe speech, which she won a Golden Globe, in her speech, she actually mentioned Andrea Riseborough and how great she was. But they're like, aha. So they were holding on to that.
And didn't Siskel and Ebert do that all the time?
No, it's not that Richard Roeper did it. It's that an Academy voter did it, right?
Yeah, they did the Instagram of the Richard Roeper.
Richard Roeper can do whatever the fuck he wants.
As if they were saying that, yeah.
And probably does.
Oh, yeah?
Richard Roeper gives no fucks.
That's awesome.
Well, I tell you what, if she does win, this is going to, like,
I hope she does.
The apple cart, and, like, I think in a good way, if she wins.
Well, the Academy should be happy, though. They could cheer up. I just read Roman Polanski's got a new movie coming out. I know they like him. They can vote for. They love Roman Polanski, so go vote for him. Everybody else is canceled. Remember, we had that year of canceled. Oh, another. Write that blank check to Roman Polanski.
Right.
Worst of the is he the worst of the worst? I don't know. He's pretty bad.
Yeah. He's him. Woody Allen are kind of.
He's up there,
neck and neck.
Mm.
But you know who's not canceled? Kurt. Do you have any Blac Chyna news?
Doing a piece of China.
China.
I'm talking China.
The Blac Chyna Report. Here's Kurt Fitzpatrick.
I'm talking China. Look, we haven't had a lot of Blac Chyna news in the last couple of weeks, so I've had to go back to evergreen stories and old classics. Well, get ready, because here we go from Hot97.com. Blac Chyna reportedly pregnant with baby number 3.
Woo!
Ooh. Oh, wait, I have it here.
Could there be? Could there be a baby number 3 on the way for Blac Chyna? The internet seems to think so. According to reports, Chyna posed with her new beau, rapper Twin Hector, where it appears he is holding her stomach. In a series of photos posted to Instagram, Instagram's nothing but trouble, Hector and Chyna are both rocking an all-white fit, and Hector sits on a piano chair, and Chyna stands over him. Either she just ate real good, or my sis pregnant. We gone see in about 6 months. Notice this one fan. I see a baby belly, says another. In the last photo of the bunch, Chyna is rocking a sports bra and no shirt, which fans believe is a baby bump poking out. Chyna has 2 other children, one with rapper Tyga and the other with Rob Kardashian. Chyna has been vocal about her relationship with her children's fathers. We previously reported that Chyna says she gets no help from her children's fathers. Yesterday, I had to give up 3 of my cars. My reasons: morals, beliefs, being a single mother, no support. I'm a mama. And in another post, she continued, single with no support and child support. The model and former reality star has yet to confirm if she's expecting another little one. But we are sending her congratulations in advance if the rumors are true.
We, as a podcast, should send her like a congratulatory gift. If it ends up being true and it gets announced, we should send her like a baby basket of some sort.
I agree.
Model.
I agree.
Let's do it. All right.
I agree 100%.
I write these notes down, but then I don't keep the pieces of paper.
I love
the baby basket.
What did they say? She was eating good.
I want to hear. Yeah. I want to hear Kurt every week from now on saying the words "baby bump."
Baby bump. Oh,
yeah.
Oh my God!
Courage.
If this happened, we could do bump watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, baby bump.
It's Blac Chyna Bump Watch.
And a baby basket. Okay, I got it written down. I can't really read what I wrote though.
And I did love that I had to give away 3 of my cars.
Well, we've heard that before. But I don't think I've ever heard it with preceded by the words "my reasons," or post-seeded. I gave up 3 cars. My reasons.
Maybe she was saying she was giving up her reasons. I don't know.
Yeah, you could read that 2 ways. Like, I gave up 3 cars, my reasons, and here they are. Or I gave up 3 cars, my reasons, not yours. I'm not telling you why. I just gave them away.
That's
excuse me, my voice is a little hoarse. I finally succumbed to the coronavirus. As Cardi B would say, coronavirus.
Well, you gave it a good run without it.
January 2023, I finally got it.
Because this is your first go round, right? So you lasted for 3 years without getting it?
Yeah.
Or are we going on 4 years now? It's 3. Right?
It's 3, yeah.
But yeah, Kurt, that's impressive. You went for that long.
Did you guys have it once?
I have had it 3 times.
Wow. Really? Oh boy.
I have once that has been confirmed.
Okay.
I've had some colds and other things and haven't tested positive, but I got it back in like December 2020 before the vaccine was even really fully available.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah. I've had it 3 times.
Oh, I didn't know you had it that many times. Okay.
Well, so the when I got it and tested positive, I call it the second time, but the first time I tested and tested positive, the entire time I was like, oh, I felt like this before. And it was the March, like when it first started.
Oh, yeah. When they weren't really testing or anything, and we just were starting to hear about it.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why I'm like, the way that I felt when I tested positive was exactly the way that I felt the first time. But yeah, it was March before they were testing or anything.
Okay.
So that's why I'm just saying 3, because I definitely, without testing, it definitely felt like COVID. Put it that way.
Okay.
But do you know where COVID does not exist? The Wedding Veil movies.
Yeah, they don't really talk about it.
No.
No.
They don't have a care in the world.
No, nothing. Just see.
They have a veil. They could put the veil over.
I don't think that's going to keep out COVID. It's very porous.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. But yeah, I definitely thought that this movie it took a different spin than the other 2.
Yeah.
And I guess probably it was because the character Tracy is supposed to be the hit one out of them anyway.
I have a few theories as to why this movie, in my opinion, is by far the best of the Wedding Veil movies yet. And first of all, I think it's that Tracy, Sammy, what's her name? Allison Sweeney's character, and the guy that plays her husband, the male lead. I think of the three couples across these movies, they by far have the most chemistry together. They seem the most natural together. They seem like an actual couple. I think also, in contrast to the previous two movies, while this one was about them trying to work out any even hint of trouble between them, they actually spent a lot of time together in the movie, therefore sort of reinforcing the core premise of any Hallmark movie is, hey, it's about this couple that we want to see together. Whereas the last two was about, oh, we're having all these problems and we never see each other and we're all so busy and not around each other. This movie got that out of the way right out of the gate and actually put them together.
Yeah. Yeah. And it also, the movie involved capers, shenanigans, spying.
It was actually shot in the gorgeous locale where it was set.
Well, that was nice,
and the other two showed up and stayed just long enough.
Yes.
That was the perfect amount.
Yeah.
Perfect amount.
Well, they crashed a honeymoon. That was a little bit gauche.
There was a good reason,
and
I guess we'll get into.
They were, at least one of the two was kind of invited.
Yeah.
For this purpose. Yeah.
So we start out, and we're in Chicago, and we see Sammy or Tracy.
No, we're in New York.
And they're in New York. Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
they are in New York. That's right.
Did we say the name of this movie? I think we did, right?
Oh, the Wedding Veil Journey. And it was a journey.
Believing.
Yeah.
So, we see.
Oh my gosh! I think there might be a bit of a pun in the title. Not even joking.
What?
Because the whole the way this ends, and one of the character traits about Tracy that we've been given over the past 2 years is that Tracy is, of the three, the one that's skeptical of the veil's powers. She doesn't believe in the veil. She stopped Don't stop believing. Like
Don't
Journey.
Stop Believin'.
I think it's a pun.
But
well played, Wedding Veil writers.
I do want to give them. I am going to be giving them a huge compliment.
Oh,
but so we'll get to that.
Me too.
Yes. So get ready, everybody.
So we see Sammy Brady, otherwise known as Tracy. She and her husband are not spending any time together, and so there's like a whole montage of them leaving notes to each other, but they left like creative notes to each other. Like, she'd come home and go to like read a book in bed, and there'd be a note in the book, and then there would be a note in the shoe, and then there'd be a note in the drawer, and then they'd show him come home, but she's already asleep, and then they'd show him asleep, and she'd already be gone. So basically the point is they were not spending any time together at all. So then we see, Emma and Avery are there, and they have the obligatory ladies' lunch that they've had in every movie. And we find out that Emma, who was the star of the last movie, Wedding Veil, was it?
Inspiration.
We find out that because at the end of that movie, she was pregnant. So we find out she had a daughter. She has a toddler now. And they're drinking wine. Oh, because this was her first time that she could actually drink wine since she had been pregnant. Because I guess she wasn't nursing anymore.
By the way, if you do the math, the events in this movie take place 2 years after the Lacey one in this second trilogy.
Yeah.
It's kind of wild that it's 2 years later.
3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, yeah.
And so they start joking about having kids, and she's like, Sammy's like, no, I don't want kids. And she was very adamant about it. And I like that they didn't shame her about it either.
But they keep bringing it up.
But I like that when she was like, I don't want kids, they just shut the fuck up.
I addressed this in the last two movies when we talked about him, that her constantly talking about how she doesn't want kids. I thought this movie was going to turn into her getting baby fever. It did not. But
good. ...
And we'll get to that later.
So, but what they were right about is, like, she's talking about how, you know, she and her husband, Sammy was talking about how she and her husband didn't ever spend time together. And the other two ladies were like, listen, you better fix this, and you better start spending time with him somehow before this is going to cause a problem in your marriage. And I love the fact that they brought up the fact that there's going to be a potential problem for a practical thing.
Yeah.
And they were very, very matter of fact. They're like, you better fix this while you have a chance to fix this.
These ladies know a lot of stuff.
I'm sorry?
I said these ladies, they know a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Know a lot of psychology. They know a lot of marriage repair.
Right. And so they're like, you need to have your honeymoon. You never had one. And so
do it.
So Nick, later that night, she's at home. She's waiting up for Nick to come home.
She keeps reading the Great Gatsby. What do you think that's supposed to be? Is that supposed to be some kind of reflection on this story? Because I love it.
It's a good read.
Oh.
Have you read it? It is a good read.
Oh yeah, I've read it a few times.
So her husband comes home.
I don't know.
Well, could it be? Well,
it's there for a reason, I think.
Well, didn't the married couple in The Great Gatsby have issues like they barely saw each other as well?
Yeah, but it was an affair. Remember, like, Daisy was having an affair with whatever Great Gatsby's name. I'm trying to remember his name. Daisy was married to Nick. I don't have this in front of me, but Daisy was married to Nick, and Daisy was cheating, and Nick was cheating.
And then
Daisy actually cheating? She wanted to cheat. Daisy was cheating. Okay, yeah. And Tom was cheating with the woman who was
with Karen Black.
and then Tom was cheating. Tom was cheating with the woman who was married to the guy who worked at the gas station.
Yeah, Karen Black.
That was Karen Black?
In the movie, it was Karen Black. You remember Karen Black, don't you?
Yeah, Karen Black, yeah.
Jason, you remember Karen Black,
I've never read the book, and I've never seen any of the adaptations.
Well, Karen Black was this actress in the 70s, and she would be... Who would she be today? She would kind of...
I mixed her with Karen Allen. Not
like who?
Black was not Karen Allen. Karen Allen was in the Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark.
She would be.
Karen Black was in some horror movie.
Yeah, but today the equivalent of Karen Black today would probably be like Margot Martindale in a way.
Oh boy, Karen Black's still around.
Like, would it be like Margot Martindale? Or like one of those people that you'd see in everything, like Judy Greer, or like one of those.
Judy Greer. Well, Karen Black was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. She was in 5 Easy Pieces. She was an Easy Rider.
So she is an old timey Andrea Riseborough.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
She played Myrtle Wilson.
Like a name, a person who's like. Acting is well regarded. They've been in a bunch of stuff before, but they're not quite a household name.
She was in Nashville.
Yeah, wasn't Karen Black in the scariest movie ever, the Trilogy of Terror?
The Trilogy of Terror. She was in Rob Zombie's House of 1,000 Corpses in 2003.
Oh.
I don't know what the Trilogy of Terror is.
Wasn't she in Trilogy of Terror or one of those movies?
Oh, I don't know what that is. She was married 4 times. No, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. 4 times.
Well, girls got to keep trying.
She's still on number 4. Well, good. There's our Karen Black update.
Now back to you.
Black Attack.
Okay, so this next part. So Nick comes home and says that he was getting ready to come home and he was going to come home earlier, but they had rude guests. And the way that she said, "Do they know that's not how we do things in LA?" She sounded very Sammy Brady in that.
Oh, you mean? I think you mean New York City, but
yeah.
She and Nick said a few times they made references to like, oh, things are different in New York, and they like made a big deal of like, we're from New York. I thought that was going to be like a running joke, and the joke that turns a little bit annoying, and they have to sort of like dial it back. But that was not the case. They just brought it up a few times.
Yeah,
for whoever would listen.
And it actually, when they brought it up, it made total sense when they brought it up too.
Yeah. Well, there are people who say that. It sounds a little.
It's a little douchey.
Pompous.
Yeah. It's one of those things like, because it felt a little bit like, "Hi, my name's Jason. I'm from LA." Like, I just asked your name. Why are you telling me where you're from? That's not necessarily relevant to the start of this conversation.
Right.
I'm Nick. I'm from New York.
Right. So Sammy's like, "Listen, Nick, we need to get it together and spend time together because we never spent any time together. Let's go on our honeymoon." And he was like, "Yeah, you know what? You're right. We do." And so she was like, "So let's just do it this way. We're going to get a globe and we're going to spend the globe and just close your eyes, and where your finger lands is where we're going to go." So they do it the first time.
We're going to the heart of Afghanistan. That'll be fun.
Right.
How funny would that have been if they did that and the writers wanted sort of a choose your own adventure movie and that actually happened? And we've got a Hallmark movie just set in a war zone.
The Wedding Veil Afghanistan.
The Wedding Veil combat.
Excellent.
So they spin the globe, and the first place is Japan. But
they are racist.
They're racist?
I'm joking that they're racist because they didn't pick Japan. They don't like Asians.
Oh, but the reason why they didn't pick Japan was because didn't she have a client? I think Sammy had a client there. Because a big part of their thing, too, is we're going to go on this honeymoon, and they're both workaholics as well. So it's like, we're going to go on this honeymoon, and we're not going to work. We're literally just going to spend time with each other. So she had a client that lived in Japan, so she's like, no, because then that would turn into work. They spin it again. His finger lands in Brazil.
Siberia.
And then he's like, I know, could you imagine? My husband lived in Siberia for a while.
I know someone who went on vacation that went to Siberia.
It's supposedly nice, actually.
What do you do
that'd
there?
Be a nice honeymoon. What's that? What do you eat there?
Yeah, no. What do you do there for vacation?
I think it's like
drink vodka.
An historical place to go to.
That's not vacation. That's not vacation.
Somebody when they wanted to learn Russian.
And it is Russia, so there are like sightseeing wise and just there is stuff to see.
I guess it is the use of the word vacation, because you don't normally associate any part of Russia with vacation. You might go on a trip there to visit to see the historical things, but you don't think of like, I get 2 weeks a year, and last year we did Fiji. This year we are doing Siberia.
Right. Because I've been to Russia. It's not relaxing.
Oh yeah. No. I saw an ad for the Ukraine Fringe Festival, and I thought, boy, if I didn't have much more time left, I would go take the risk and go to the Ukraine Fringe Festival. You can't even fly into Ukraine. I was looking into this. You have to fly into a
so you
different
actually
country.
checked.
No, yeah, I did because I was curious. Like, what if you actually did this? And I'm always looking for performance opportunities to enhance my career. You have to fly into like a different country and then like smuggle yourself across the border to get in.
Oh, like Cuba?
Cuba? No, you
can't
don't
fly
go
into
from
Cuba.
Cuba to the Ukraine.
No, you can't, because you can't fly into Cuba from the U.S. You've got to like smuggle yourself in.
No, you got to swim. Yeah. So you got to give yourself a lot of lead time when you're playing those areas.
But yeah, Ukraine.
Show business advice.
Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I could see you going.
Well, wouldn't everybody talk about that? Can you imagine? Like, I'm in the Ukraine Fringe Festival, and all of you go to Rogue. What are you going to? Did you know Kurt's in the Ukraine doing the Fringe Festival? You all talk about you 24 hours a day.
Oh, we talk about you all right.
And this time, I'd have some control over what you guys will be talking about me about.
The difference there in the U.S., if you get like some sort of accolades for your acting, then hopefully you get more jobs and you get more roles, bigger roles. In the Ukraine, if you become a famous actor, you have to run the country.
Right.
Well, that's true. Well, that's okay. I've certainly had some weird turns in my life.
Yeah.
President Kurt.
I bet when Zelensky was voicing Paddington 2, he didn't think that a couple years later he'd be running the place.
Right.
I'll send all you Fringe people to Siberia if I hear you talking about me. We'll reopen Siberia.
Just to put us all there.
Well, it's your choice.
Let me tell you, I've done shows in worse places.
If I hear one word, that's right. You have.
I've done shows in places that would give Siberia a run for its money.
Off to Siberia, Donna. I heard you say something about me. Okay. I guess we can't mention people by name, but
anyhow,
she doesn't talk about me. Okay.
So then they did the Globe again, and this time he put his finger on Brazil, but then
That's
was
nice.
like, "Oh, but we're dealing with a restaurant down there, so I'd end up working as well."
No, there was like an
Ex-girlfriend. Yeah, they made a reference to an ex-girlfriend or something.
He's afraid he's going to run into her.
Okay, that would have been a good movie though. The Wedding Veil, Rio de Janeiro.
The Wedding Veil Throuple?
Right.
Throuple.
I would watch that if they're a throuple.
The girlfriend his ex would touch the wedding veil, and then they,
Ooh.
There's like a magical sex toy that if you touch it, you're in a relationship with an already established couple.
Right.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Well, you better write to Lifetime. I bet they do it.
They got to write the movie.
So then she spends it one more time, and she gets Greece, and neither one of them have any connections to Greece. So it's like bing, 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 bing. We're going to Greece, and so they're going to go to Rhodes. And so he was going to make reservations, and they decided, you know what, we're going to be so spontaneous. We're just going to make a reservation for the first night, and then we'll just kind of fly by the seat of our pants and just whatever happens, happens. So then we cut to they've flown to Greece, and we find out that their flight got majorly delayed, and so they were a day late.
Very topical.
And so, right, they were going to fly Southwest. So they get to the hotel, and the woman at the hotel is like, "Oh my gosh, we were worried about you because you didn't show up last night, and unfortunately, we have a soccer game in town all weekend, and so everything is booked up solid, and so unfortunately, we can't help you." And so this woman overhears what's going on.
Penelope,
but her nickname was Pen, and she was like, "Listen, if you're open to going to another city, I actually know this brother and sister who have renovated this hotel. They're in the process of renovating it, and it's actually really nice. And I bet you'd really enjoy it there. And then this is where Sammy and Nick were like, we're from New York. You're not going to scam us. And she was like, listen, I'll take you, she's like, because she drove a boat.
Yeah, she ran a delivery boat and was basically like, hey, you know what? No harm, no foul. Hop on the boat. I'll give you the ride for free because I'm going that way anyway. If you don't like it, you don't have to stay.
Right. And I was a little bummed that Penn didn't have a bigger part in the movie. I thought Penn was going to kind of feature into it.
They did make it seem like she was going to be part of it. Yeah.
So then she takes them. So they decide to go. And then she takes them, and they get to the other city, and they're walking, and they pass this little kid.
Well, they're walking because there's no cars on the island.
Oh, that's right.
So they have to like take a horse to the other side.
They have to ride a mule.
Mules, rather.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they pass this little kid who's like sitting there drawing at the time. And he's going to factor in later.
Yeah.
So they take the donkeys. And then I wrote here, once they get to the hotel, they have donkey hijinks because they're trying to get off of the donkey. And, they have a little bit with that. And so they get to the hotel and they meet the brother and the sister, Tessa. And then what was the brother's name?
Xander,
Tessa and Xander. And Tessa's like, well, listen, we have room, but our couple's suite, the wedding suite isn't going to be ready until tomorrow. But what we'll do is we'll give you a room and then we'll move you into the wedding suite tomorrow. And so the hotel, so I thought that the hotel was going to turn out to be like one of these shitty money pit hotels. And I thought the movie was going to go in that direction. It did not.
No.
The hotel was actually very nice, and they had a great view.
Yeah, it was stunning. It actually looked really, really gorgeous.
Yeah. And so she unpacks and she decides that, you know what, Sammy was like, I'm gonna let the veil air out a little bit. And
why, at this point, I don't think I knew why she had the veil that I wrote in my notes. Why did she bring the veil? They're already married.
Right.
But we find out later. We find out later why. So
she hangs the veil. She turns around. Nick is asleep on the bed because they were both really jet lagged. So she decides to leave him alone and let him sleep. And she goes out to sit. She goes out to sit in like a outside lounge area
with some rosé.
Yeah, with some wine and a book. Yeah. And she
great
actually,
Gatsby.
Yeah.
She's
and so she's reading, and then this little kid shows up, and he says, "My name is Leo," and he's named after Leonidas, the runner. And so the little kid, Leo, draws a picture of Sammy, and she was like, "Okay, kid, how much? I'm from New York. I know you're trying to scam me." And the little kid's like, "Okay, I'll charge you €5." And he does the drawing, and he gives her the drawing, and the drawing's actually like really good. Like really good.
Actually, he said €2 at this point.
Oh, I thought
Did he say 2 or he said 10?
He
5 is what I wrote down.
Oh, maybe you've said 5 here and he upped the number later.
Yeah,
because there's another scene later where they refer back to this. Okay.
So then, Xander comes out to tell Sammy that it's time for dinner, and the little kid's like, "Don't eat here," like runs away.
Yeah. It's never addressed in this movie why Xander. Like, it was widely known, even to himself, that he was a bad chef, Yet everyone just goes about their day thinking this is normal, that this guy is spending this money to renovate this inn where he's going to be the chef, even though he's really fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Well, also this, you just see a little later on, like Nick kind of has the opportunity to maybe teach him how to be a good cook, and he doesn't do that.
Yeah.
He just kind of replaces the food.
And that's so funny because I thought that this was where the movie was going to go as well. Like Nick was going to kind of take him under his wing.
And they had many opportunities to make that happen. And it didn't need to be a major plot point, but it would have made a little bit more sense.
Because then they show his sister, they show Xander's sister Tessa, and she's in the kitchen and she tastes the food and she like makes this face. Like it is not good.
Yeah.
They're all disgusting.
Xander was very enthusiastic about Tessa trying it, though.
Yeah. Xander was very enthusiastic about everything. So then they move Nick and Sammy's stuff from the old room to the suite, to the bridal suite. And then
but Xander accidentally leaves the veil in the closet.
Yes. And then they show Nick and Sammy eating, and they're just like, oh my God, this food fucking sucks. And then they were walking around, and like they went out to get a snack or something to eat because the food was that bad.
Right.
Oh, they're eating baklava.
Downtown. Oh, yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Kurt, do you like baklava?
Yeah.
So they're walking around.
You talked about that before, and I got confused about what it was.
Oh, really? Baklava?
Yeah.
Let me just make sure I'm just saying the right thing, because I don't want to say I like something, and then people start mailing it to me. Baklava.
Well, I can see you liking baklava.
Let me see if I
can
like
totally
it.
see you like.
I think so. I always get this confused with something else.
That would be in your wheelhouse.
It's from the Ottoman Empire. It's Greek. Yes, Greek. But what's the Jewish pastry? That's what I always get confused with. I love that. What's that Jewish pastry?
I don't know.
You know what I'm talking
Macaroon?
about? No, it's not. It's like a chocolate pastry.
Here, let's
Google. Google. Google.
I don't want to interrupt it. Okay. I'm looking at it right now. Oh, Rugula. That's what I like.
Jason, that was really good.
Thank you.
Rugula.
See, I hear rugula and I think of arugula.
No, I'm talking about rugula. For some reason, I mix rugula up with baklava. I'm talking about rugula.
Rugula. Oh, anyway, so they're walking around.
No, I sound a little like. I thought I sounded a little like Dee from What's Happening, where like her dad gets remarried, and they say, "Is there anyone here who has anything to say about the union of this wedding?" And Dee says, "Well, I'm saying something now. I'm talking now." That's what I sound like when I'm talking about how much I like rugula.
I know you're going to say.
Do you know that Dee from What's Happening became a veterinarian?
Yeah,
and she worked in West Hollywood for a long time.
There's a clinic like a few blocks from me, and Dee from What's Happening was one of the vets there.
Yeah, for a long time.
Danielle Spencer.
Yes. So she did not.
Sorry, Dr. Spencer.
Child actor curse.
And how about when they put her in they put her in a commercial? Rerun wants to be the commercial, but instead they put her in. She tries to eat the hamburger, and it all falls apart. And she says, "I can't eat this jackass meat."
I don't know that commercial.
No, it was an episode of What's Happening.
Oh,
yeah.
Then I'm sure I've seen it.
Yeah.
So then when they meet up with Leo, Sammy's like, "Oh, I need to pay you." Because the drawings, she actually really liked the drawings. So she's like, "I need to pay you." And then he's like, 10 euros, please. And she's like, "No, you said 5. I'm from New York. You said 5.
That was like the third instance of them saying that. It was like, guys, we get it.
Oh, and then he's like, "Oh my gosh, New York. That's how I learned English." And then he starts quoting
Law and Order. Yeah.
Now, how cute was that?
That was cute, actually.
Do you know I've never seen an episode of Law and Order?
Same.
Ever?
Well, no, actually, I take that back because my mom, after she had her stroke and like couldn't like really go anywhere, all she did was watch crime procedurals. So I've seen episodes of all of them pretty much, but don't really remember any of them. Although there is an episode of Criminal Minds that for whatever reason, every time I would go visit my mom, this one episode with Jane Lynch in it would always show.
That's do you know that show Matlock? Remember the show Matlock that only old people watch?
They're rebooting it.
Do you know that they're rebooting Matlock and Kathy Bates is going to be Matlock?
Yes.
Who?
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates.
Okay. Well, as Law and Order, I worked on Law and Order a lot, like doing.
Oh, really?
Law and Order. Well, the original Law and Order, I'm in the very last season. I played like this army guy, and then the SVU I worked on a lot. I pop up in a whole bunch of episodes of that show. Used to work with Ice-T.
Yes.
Oh.
All those people.
You know, with the
like
success
it.
of that Boy Meets World podcast, you should go do a podcast about Law and Order.
Yes.
We've all worked on that. Everybody's done like extra work in New York.
I haven't lived in New York, so I haven't.
Everybody's in New York's worked on SVU.
This is how long ago I lived in New York. People were doing extra work on The Cosby Show when I lived in New York.
And then Bill Cosby.
I guess that didn't end so well.
And if they were young Asian models, then Bill Cosby was giving them acting lessons, apparently.
Right.
That's what we've heard.
Right.
The documentary.
So then we see Sammy. She's waking up. And Nick is gone. And so she goes into the kitchen and Nick is cooking. And the reason Nick is cooking is Nick is like Xander's cooking is so awful and they're so nice. I want to help him out. And so Sammy did not like this at all because she's like, it feels to me like, first of all, we're supposed to be spending time together. I woke up, you were gone, and since, you run restaurants and you're cooking, this feels to me like you're working, and I thought we promised each other we weren't going to work.
Yeah.
So then the next scene, she's like bitching to the other ladies about it on Zoom.
And they point out that, hey, you've been answering work emails too.
Right.
Snap.
Yeah.
Right. So they're like, you're not so innocent, Missy.
Take that, Sammy. Yeah. When you point the finger at someone, there's 4 more fingers pointing back at you.
You
dick. Well,
there's 3 actually.
But when someone is yelling at Sammy like that, it ends with a slap, with someone slapping her in the face.
Yeah. not in a Hallmark movie.
She can't hide behind that facade.
Sammy got slapped a lot for good reason.
Slappy Sammy.
So anyway, so then Nick shows up. He apologizes.
Did they give Sammy? Does she do like love scenes?
Sammy? Oh my God! Yeah, Sammy's been married like 5 times.
Did they give her love scenes? Because remember we read during the height of COVID and soap operas, they put people in bed with like
mannequins. Yeah.
Oh, that was a bullet.
Crash test dummies.
Oh no, Sammy is like has been married like a lot because she supposedly, since she's evil and crazy, I guess she's like good in bed.
Oh, okay.
Remember, Sammy had twins by 2 different fathers.
Oh, that's right.
That?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember we explored that. Yeah. That always boggles my mind.
Same.
I'll be up all night tonight. I'll be cooking. We'll go get to sleep after hearing that.
So anyway, speaking of sex, they kind of implied that they were going to have sex.
Oh yeah.
They apologize. Nick apologizes. She accepts, and he's like, "What are you reading?" And she's like, "You're mine."
Oh, that does sound like a precursor to Bumping Uglies.
Why do you assume it's ugly? Wow.
Huh?
Why do you assume it's ugly? You're bump shaming.
Right? Don't bump shame.
I just get that vibe.
Don't bump shame.
No, I'm not.
So,
It's
so
uglier
next-
compared to like a cheek.
a cheek. A cheek.
Maybe I like
On
to get the
ranking of
cheeks
body
bumped.
parts.
So in the next scene, so my husband is British, right? So the next scene,
I don't know. You would know that.
The people that showed up basically
Let's take a
looked
poll.
like my in-laws. My in-laws basically showed up in the next scene.
All right. Well, I hope that's good. You're talking about this
Well,
red-haired woman?
Because the woman looked like my husband's cousin Sarah. And the only difference is like Sarah has that attitude. The only difference is like Sarah would be wearing like a leopard coat. That was like the only difference. But that basically the way the woman acted and everything was like his cousin. So they show up and the woman is Lady Dalton and it's her grandson.
And they had the lamest British accents I've ever heard.
Yes.
These were, I don't think they were actual Brits, were they?
Because the woman, I thought she was.
Okay. I mean,
Who's
it's
the
possible
actress?
they were. It didn't.
I was fooled.
Who's the actress who played Lady Dalton?
Let's see,
I'm
should I look it up?
Googling it now.
It's
Who
my job.
played
Google. Google. Google.
Is that a little soundbite for us?
love
I pulled it
this.
because we always stop and Google things, and I like to fill the space with sound while we're just like reading a computer screen that the audience can't see.
Okay, the actress's name, the actor's name, her name is
It's Jane Asher.
Asher.
I found it faster.
That does sound
Yes,
British.
there she is.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll look her up. I win the Jane Asher Award. Let's see. Oh, here's Paul McCartney and Jane Asher interviewed at Heathrow Airport. What's going on there?
Oh,
Was she with Paul McCartney?
Oh,
Looks like they were married or something.
maybe they date.
Whoa. Yeah, they weren't married. What's going on here? We didn't know this. This is big news. Let's see. Personal life. Okay. In April 18th, 1963, the 17-year-old Asher interviewed the Beatles, and she began a 5-year relationship with Paul McCartney.
What?
He wrote several Beatles songs inspired by her, including
Whoa, Get
I Love
Out.
Her, You Won't See Me. Do you remember these Beatles songs? Oh, We Can Work It Out is about her. We can work it out.
Are you
That's about
serious?
her?
That's fascinating. That's actually a really good fact to find as we're doing this episode.
Wow. What else don't we know? They were engaged to be married at one point. She accompanied the Beatles and their respective partners to attend the advanced transcendental meditation training session with Maharishi Yogi. We'll remember that story. This is fascinating. I didn't know this. Then I would have wanted to hang out on that movie set because I want to hear more about this. You know, as a Beatles.
So she is British.
We can work it out. He needed to work it out with her.
Well, let's find out about
Google-
Colin. Google Colin now.
Google.
No, I googled him and
Oh.
he's British. He's British as well.
Okay, I stand
They're
corrected
both
then.
British.
All right, I was just being a bitch. I'll own it.
But who knew that? Like we'd uncover like.
Look how
Oh.
wrong you were. Not only was she British, she dated a Beatle.
He wrote
Like,
a
she's cool.
fucking. He wrote
Man.
literal more than one song about her. I
Hang
feel
your
like
head in shame.
I'm the dick.
You dick.
Oh, you got it.
Yeah,
You got
yeah.
the soundbite. Oh, good.
I will own it. I'm a dick.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. You said she's not British here. She dated there were Beatles songs about her.
So anyway,
I'm not so sure about that Queen Elizabeth. I don't know if she was
I didn't know if that accent.
Yeah.
is
What's
working.
she hiding under that funny hat? An American flag.
I'm not buying that Darby O'Gill was Irish.
Oh, so Xander made the mistake of telling Lady Dalton that if you have trouble with stairs, we can help you, and she gave him the look of death and is like, really? So I liked her immediately because she gave him a "don't fuck with me" look.
Well, you know what she turned down? Help. She didn't need nobody. Help.
Help me if you can.
That wasn't about her. I'm trying to remember. Do you know these other Beatles songs? What You're Doing? You remember that song?
No.
I remember that one. I just know We Can Work It Out.
No, that's
a big one,
impressive, actually.
Yeah.
We can work it out. Okay.
So then Tracy. Then we cut back to Tracy. She sees Leo drawing, and she's like, you know, what are you drawing? And he's like, nothing. And then she says, well, no, I studied art, and I know good art when I see it. And your art is good because you put your heart into it, which I was like, "Aw."
Yeah, that was really
and
nice.
so then he leaves and he gives her the drawing, and it's a drawing of a mom and a kid. I was like, "Aw." So then
He was a cute kid.
yeah.
Yeah.
So then Tracy goes home. Tracy and Nick come back to their hotel room, and the wedding veil is missing. And so then they realize, Tessa's like, oh shit, we forgot the wedding veil back in, you know, when we moved your stuff, we forgot it in the old room. Let's go and get it. And so they're on their way to get it, and Tessa runs into Colin, bumps into him, and he's holding the wedding veil, and they made the little bing, 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 wedding veil music. So it's like, okay, here we go. So the veil starts working immediately. So
It works it out.
then they tell the story about the wedding veil. Tracy tells the story about the wedding veil. And then they're eating, and they're like, oh my gosh, the sauce is actually good. And so then Nick gets this look on his face like, ha ha ha. And so then as during dinner, they tell the wedding veil story. And then we find out that the reason why they have the veil is because they're taking it to New York to Nick's sister, because the parents want to get her married off, basically. And she has a problem. I guess she's a feisty person who doesn't get along with people, and so they're going to take her the veil so she can land a husband. So then the next scene,
was this where they invite Xander and Tessa to join them at dinner too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they eat too, and they're like shocked as well, like, oh, this is actually good. What's going on here? So the next day, we see Colin jogging, and Tessa is painting, and he stumbles and bumps into her, and she spills the paint on him.
Well,
And then
she
they
paints
give
across
googly eyes
his
at each
chest
other.
with he's wearing a white T-shirt, of course, as
Yeah.
there's paint nearby, and she accidentally like paints in the brush across his chest in the
Yes.
color Mediterranean blue.
And then they
She's
give
so
each
beautiful. So beautiful. She gets away with it. He doesn't
and they give each other
mind.
googly eyes. So then.
I might be okay with that also.
And then Lady Dalton sees she sees what's going on, and she gives a little smile. So then Tracy comes home, and the veil is gone, and she's like, "Wait, what's going on? The veil is gone." And so then they go looking for the veil, and they find the veil. No, Colin found the veil in his closet again, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so Colin's like, okay, this veil ended up back in my closet again, and I didn't take it. So then we see, so then they're asking, so then Xander asks them, do you want dinner? And they're like, no, because Nick didn't have a chance to go and cook for them. So they're gift shopping, And so Tracy's buying souvenirs for Avery's kid and Emma's kid, and she buys art supplies for Leo. And I kind of liked this because Nick is like, don't you think it's weird to buy a gift for someone else's kid? And she's like, no. And he's like, think about it for a second. If you had a kid and someone bought a gift for your kid, wouldn't you find that weird? And she's like, oh, you're right. I kind of liked this, actually.
Yeah, I like that they had that conversation around it. I think, my opinion on it would be it would sort of depend on the context of who's giving the gift and under what pretense are they giving it. And I think she was completely harmless. Like, hey, you're this kid I see around town. You like art. I'm just trying to be nice.
Yeah, I think what he means is just like, since you're strange, like you're a stranger. Yeah. And what would you think? Which, I give kids stuff all the time.
I don't know what to think of it. It seems okay, but I guess maybe he's afraid what if the kid has parents, what would the parents think is going on, I guess.
Yeah, and I think to be fair, it would probably seem less creepy coming from a woman than from a man.
Yeah. And and then her reasoning, which was legit and could easily, if this were to happen, and a parent, because she's like, oh no, the only reason I'm doing this is because he's really good, he's really talented, but he has no paper, he's drawing on envelopes, and his pencils are like to the nubs, and so I just want to give him this because he could put it to good use.
I might be a little worried. I guess if I was the kid's parent, I'd be a little worried. Like, well, what? I'd be more worried. Like, who is he kind of hanging out with here?
I also think it's a case of if he were in a more controlled environment, that would seem weird. He's literally on the street, going around, approaching people, offering to sketch them for money.
Right. Yeah. So then we see Leo, he's running, and Tracy's trying to give him the art supplies, and at first he's like, I can't take it. And then he's like, okay, I'll take it, but I've really got to go because I'm running late. Because basically what he would do is we kept on seeing Leo like going and jumping through a window at like a certain time every day. So then he goes, he was like, I can't take it. And then she's like, well, you know what? You did this drawing for me. Consider it payment for the drawing that you did for me.
Right.
So then he runs through the window. He jumps through the window and he gets busted by his teacher.
Who's angry.
And yeah, who's angry.
It's actually the headmaster of the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, so Sammy wakes up. Nick is gone again. He's cooking again. And then as they're talking in the kitchen, Colin walks into the kitchen and Colin's like, oh, okay, I get it. Because the other day the food tasted really good and yesterday the food tasted like crap. So I know that something was up, and so now we've figured it out. So then Colin is going shop. So we see Tessa. She's doing chores. Then Colin is going sightseeing. Oh no, he's going shopping. Mm-hmm. And he asks Tessa, hey, when you go shopping here in Greece, do you haggle, or is that not a good idea? And she's like, well, no, it's not a good idea. And they start talking, and then Tessa's like, well, I can come with you if you want. And Colin's very happy about that. And so
yeah, she just often leaves the hotel. Like this resort, like seemingly high class resort hotel, seemingly only has 2 employees.
Right.
One of which is doing the cooking, and everybody agrees has no business doing it.
Right.
Huh. Maybe it's a Greece thing. Well, they don't have many people staying there.
No?
Yeah, because the only people staying there are Lady Dalton and Colin and Nick and Tracy. Those are the only people staying there.
Still, like, even for 4 guests, it seems like there should be more people around there doing stuff at this resort hotel on the water in Greece.
Right.
This is similar to Leslie, because remember, there's only two people running the motel.
Yeah, it's like a roach motel. Oh, so then we see we see Tracy on the phone, and she's yelling at someone, like Sammy would yell at someone. And Lady Dalton is at the bar, and she asks Tracy, "So what do you do for a living?" And Tracy says, "Oh, I work for this I work for this museum that deals with the Met."
Yeah, she's an auction house.
Pardon?
It's an auction house.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was an auction house that deals with the Met. And Lady Dalton is like, from judging from the way they were talking on the phone, I can tell that you run the place. And so you're the boss. And so she's like, don't undersell yourself. If you were running this place, you need, be proud of it.
I love that as a message in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Lady Dalton was cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lady Dalton was very cool. And after hearing that the actor is like the inspiration of Beatles songs, she's really cool.
I want to know, because jumping ahead a little bit, we'll find out some of the people that Lady Dalton has crossed paths with over the years. I wonder if there was a draft in the script where they mentioned Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I wonder.
And she refused. She said no.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that song, Dear Prudence?
Uh-huh.
Do you know who that's about?
Is that about her? About Lady Dalton?
No, Dear Prudence is about Mia Farrow's sister.
She has a sister named Prudence Farrow.
She does.
Oh.
Well,
I like Mia Farrow's son.
Mm-hmm.
Ronan Farrow.
I don't know if she's I guess her last name is Farrow. She has a sister named Prudence. Yeah. Dear Prudence.
There was a time a couple of weeks ago that I was nearly certain I saw Mia Farrow on the street. I may have even messaged you guys about it. I have since come to believe that I don't think I kept seeing Mia Farrow, because the person I saw, who I thought was Mia Farrow, I saw driving like a little Ford sedan, like a little beat up Ford. And I imagine she has something a little bit nicer.
Well, but she does live on a farm in Connecticut, so you never know.
No, but this is here in L.A.
True.
You think her L.A. home?
Where does Ronan live? Does Ronan live out?
Ronan lives in WeHo. Yeah.
Well, maybe she was visiting Ronan.
Well, that's what I thought, but also I don't think Ronan Farrow would have this like beat up old car either.
True, but then you never know. Some actors are like that.
Did you come out to play?
He's a journalist.
Oh yeah,
Ronan Farrow on my list.
Somebody I used to be friends with is mentioned in his book, but that's all I'm going to say about that.
Oh shit!
Do I know this person?
That's all I'm going to say. I can't talk about it.
So I do know this person?
He can't talk about it, so he brought it up on a recorded podcast.
Well, I shouldn't have said it.
We'll talk.
We'll move along. Yeah.
We'll talk off mic, because I have a feeling I know this person.
No.
I don't?
No. I don't know about this. Maybe. I don't know who you know. I don't know. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I don't know who you know.
I don't know who you know. We'll just leave it at that. I shouldn't have brought it up. Okay.
Oh, anyway, so then Nick and Tessa are in town, and Tracy's she's walking around, and she sees Nick and Tessa, and she has like a little smile on her face, like, it's working. So then the head of the school shows up at the resort, and he starts yelling at Tracy about giving Leo the gift. And I really liked Nick in this part because he finishes and Nick is like, first of all, don't ever talk to my wife like that again. And I wrote, Nick is getting laid tonight.
Yeah, that works. That worked in The White Lotus too.
Mm-hmm. And so then the next scene, she's talking to the girls on Zoom again on her phone, and she's finishing up her conversation, and Leo's walking up, and Leo sees, and Leo's like, oh my gosh, that's everyone's favorite art historian, which is a callback to the last movie where Emma became like an online sensation talking about art as everyone's favorite art historian. And so then Tracy was like, oh yeah, she's one of my best friends. And Leo was like, so listen, we have this urn in our school. You should have, your friend come and do a video about this urn, and we could use it as a fundraiser, and then that money could go towards our school, which I was like, oh, wow, very smart.
Yeah. He's a hustler.
So she's like, I'm not sure. And he's like, well, just ask her. And she's like, okay, you know what? I'll ask her. Couldn't hurt. So she comes home. She comes back to her hotel, and the veil is gone again. And then we see Colin bringing it back to her again. And Colin's like, I swear I did not take this.
Yeah. And I swear I am British.
Right. I really am.
No, seriously.
It's very seriously British.
So then, so Tracy is like, okay, I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to find out who keeps on taking this veil. And so I am going to pull a caper. And you know how I love a good caper. Mm-hmm. So Nick is in the caper with her. So then the next day, they're like, it's the next morning, and they're like, bye, everybody. We're going hiking. Bye. We're going to hike. And then they leave, and Nick goes hiking, and Sammy goes and hides out to catch who's ever stealing the veil. And I wrote, I gained respect. This next scene, I gained respect for everyone in this scene. I was like mad respect all over the place.
Nice.
Because we see Lady Dalton. She goes to the room. She takes a bobby pin. She picks the lock, and then Tracy comes out and catches her. And I'm like, oh my God, this is like a fantasy come true, because I love burglary, especially love lady burglars. I love capers, and it was everything. Everything.
You look so filled with joy right now, Les.
I'm just reading. She attended the 1970 London premiere of the Beatles' last movie, Let It Be, along with John Lennon's former wife, Cynthia, though the former Beatles did not attend.
Well, there you go.
Kurt, this is our Into Yoko.
You think so?
There you go.
Yes.
Do you
I
think
think
she
we
can
reach
go
out to
down
her as to Lady, what's her name? Lady
Dalton.
Lady Dalton. We reach out to Lady Dalton as hosts of a Hallmark podcast that talked extensively about her. We would love to have you on. And also, hey, are you still friends with Yoko? Do you know her from back in the day?
I'm checking to see if Yoko ever looked at the message I sent her. I sent her a message on Facebook. I got to scroll really far back here. No, she didn't even look at it.
Oh,
come on, Yoko.
Maybe she looks at Facebook like once a month or something. There's some people that look at Facebook like once every other month or something.
We, as ardent fans of pop culture, are admirers of you. We would love to have you on as a guest. It goes on and on.
Is that what you said?
I did.
You wrote?
I did. Well, she's a pop culture icon.
No, she is.
Well, it's not like she's offended. She never even read it.
She is a pop culture icon. and I would be happy to talk to her.
Like, where do you think Yoko spends most of her social media time? You think it's Facebook? You think it's Insta? Or you think, is she a TikToker?
Yoko is kind of current. So I could see Yoko being a TikToker.
I couldn't find a podcast that she'd ever been on.
I mean, that we've got to pitch it.
Yeah.
Build it and we'll come.
We did.
Maybe she's picky.
Well, there's other ways to do it. I wrote her on Facebook. If you wanted to, I think we've gone through this before. There's people who you can try to pitch it to. Maybe I'll give it another shot.
Oh, so then Tracy is telling, after she catches Lady Dalton, she's actually very good about it. And she's like, okay, we need to talk. So they're talking, and we find out that, Lady Dalton is like, I retired from the British government, and I loved it even more because my notes, I'm like, I bet she was a spy.
But doesn't lady sound like royalty?
No. She probably was Lady Dalton, but I think also in her job, she was a spy as well.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's picking locks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we find out some of the people that she had letters with later. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's a lady.
Because she's like, I work for the government. So I was like, maybe she was like a female 007 or something. Oh, man.
She needs her own movie.
If they threw a fight scene in a Hallmark movie with probably an octogenarian, how old was this woman? Or probably in her 70s.
How old is she, Kurt?
She is. Hold on, I got it right here. She's 76.
Okay. I would love to see a Hallmark movie where a 76-year-old woman, you find out that she was a spy and she just starts kicking everyone's butt.
I can see it.
She's a lady. Nice. She was in Alfie with Michael Caine.
Wait, she was in What's It All About, Alfie?
Yeah, it's just called Alfie with Michael Caine.
What's it all about?
1966.
Alfie.
That's a good movie, by the way.
So that was another reason why I couldn't make it through the Fablemans, because I started watching the Fablemans again and then decided to watch the documentary about Dionne Warwick.
Of course.
So, sorry, Fablemans.
Tell that to Steven Spielberg.
Sorry,
Dionne Warwick stare at the floor. Stare at the floor and avoid eye contact.
And I'll tell that to Burt Bacharach.
Well,
I'm sorry, Dionne Warwick. I like Dionne. She smokes joints.
Oh, okay, Dionne is fun on Twitter, too. I love her on Twitter.
And, her tweets are
You
amazing.
should tweet to her about the fact that you can't get through the Fablemans because you got sidetracked by this. Maybe she'll retweet it.
I will actually.
All right, Les, you're at this.
And invite her on the podcast.
So let's
Would I call her Dionne or Miss Dionne, do you think?
Ms. Warwick.
Ms.
Well,
Warwick.
no, you just add her, at Dionne Warwick.
And our Twitter, which I reactivated, He Loves Hallmark, is up and running again. So there you go.
Oh, you need to send me the login info like we discussed a month ago.
Instagram. I went Instagram because I had pictures of myself in Christmas sweaters and stuff. Yeah.
I will do that. I will send the Twitter information, and there you go.
Okay. But don't go follow He Loves Hallmark, because maybe I'll change it to Lifetime of Hallmark to match the other the other screen.
And that was because that was the original name of this podcast. Right. It was He Loves Hallmark. So yeah.
Was it?
Yes, Kurt.
It was called He Just Loves the Hallmark channel. That's what it was called.
And then we changed it because I got mad because the news came out about the Hallmark's interracial relationship policy at the time, which Hallmark has more than rectified.
Yes.
So you added Lifetime movies to show them.
Yes, because I was like, you know what? We're gonna watch Lifetime movies.
I know. I got a call. Les was so mad he called me. People don't do that. Like on the phone.
I was very upset.
I was like, "Who's this?"
But look. But then it was a blessing in disguise, because that is how the podcast evolved to what it was today.
Hey.
Because we were gonna then only talk about Lifetime movies, and then Hallmark apologized. So I was like, okay, we'll watch both.
Yeah, it worked out.
And there you have it.
We
The
are
birth of a podcast.
going on so many tangents today.
I know.
So
You
anyway,
really less a little worried. You okay?
oh, I just texted and I'm going to be 15 minutes late. But
Okay.
because I'm supposed to be meeting some friends at Akbar, which
Yeah.
I haven't been to in ages.
You can be late to
well,
that. It's fine.
They can wait. They can wait.
And it's Akbar.
Admiral Akbar?
Akbar's a bar in Silver Lake.
That's Star
And
Admiral
it's a fun
Akbar, right?
place.
All right, that's fine.
Every time maybe of the handful of times I've been to Akbar, I've seen Jesse Tyler Ferguson, I think 4 times there.
Well, you know what? I'll be on Jesse Tyler Ferguson watch tonight.
Oh, speaking of people I've spotted, I messaged you this today as well. I was out last two nights ago, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw comedian and actor Guy Branum. If you're not familiar with him, he played Billy Eichner's friend in Bros. And the guy that he was sitting with is this like good looking guy. And I was like, oh, that guy kind of looks like Luke McFarlane, but I don't think it's him. And then like I find out the next day it was Luke McFarlane. I should have approached him and said, hey, we talk about your Hallmark movies all the time. Would you like to be on the podcast? I am on a mission.
Oh,
Kicking myself.
Well, but then you know what that means? If you see, and especially you, Jason, if you see them once, that means you're going to bump into him and see him like a million times.
True. This is true.
Just ask Ben Savage.
Yeah.
And the wrong Prince Charming.
Yes, I do see him pretty much every weekend.
Oh, so anyway, so Tracy asks, Lady Dalton, okay, so what's up with you? And she said, Lady Dalton is like, look, I want Colin and Tessa to get married, and I believe in the veil, and I want to retire. I want him to get married, and I want to get a cottage in Greece anyway. So this veil needs to work.
She's got goals. She's got a vision board.
And I loved it. And I love Tracy was like, okay, but stop breaking into my room. And Lady Dalton is like, old habits die hard. So this means that she was definitely doing some burglaring and spying back in her day.
See, what I would have liked to seen is the rest of the movie kind of becomes like Midnight Express. Like she gets arrested for trying to break in the room, and then she's in like a Turkish prison. Well, no, they could extradite her.
How about this? She gets arrested, and she's in this Greek prison, and Paul McCartney comes to save her and get her out.
Nah, I think she should be there suffering.
Wow. Very
I'm
dark
sorry.
Hallmark movie.
Well, I just think these movies, when the movie takes a bleak turn, it can be up for an Oscar.
Damn.
Wow.
Sorry.
Wow. So,
I'm just looking out for the awards.
the awards
for this movie.
The award,
When
the
when
Oscar
things get
award-winning
bleak in these
Hallmark
movies,
movie.
yeah, when things get bleak, it could win an Oscar.
Jeez.
Sorry.
So-
All right, I'll try to lighten up.
So then Nick and Tracy are talking, and Nick is like, you know what? After this trip, and after helping Xander out, I realized that I was happier. I want to go back to cooking in my restaurants because that's when I was the happiest. And so
Did we
then
skip over when the headmaster came and yelled at them?
No,
Oh no,
we
we
talked
did.
about
We
that.
did say that.
no, because that's when he was
We
like,
did talk
"Don't
about
talk
that.
to my
That's
wife
right.
like that."
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, we did.
Because that's why I wrote he's getting laid tonight because he's like,
That's
"Don't
right.
keep
Yeah,
that
yeah.
tone with my wife."
Yeah, I zone off and start thinking about the Beatles sometimes.
Oh, so then all of a sudden Emma pops out and she's like, "Surprise!
an egg.
I'm here!" And so she's like, "I'm here because I got your message, and I would gladly do the video for this kid." And then Lacey pops up and says, "Well, I couldn't let her, crash your honeymoon alone." So here's the deal.
Could've.
With Emma, she was in Italy. So that was like, what, 2 hours away, an hour,
Yeah.
2 hours away?
Yeah.
But fucking Lacey's in Boston.
It comes from like a weekend trip. It's not even like a full Greek vacation. She doesn't.
Right.
Neither one of them bring their husbands along.
It's like Brewster's Millions again. She's got money to shed.
Because, because in Emma's case, that would be like, flying to Vegas or something.
Go ahead, Kurt.
No, this is another situation, I think, where people are afraid someone's going to be talking about them if they're not there. Lacey knows if she's not there, they're just going to talk about her.
Oh,
So
yeah.
she says, I got to get on a plane. I got to get on a plane and prevent that from happening. I'm with you, Lacey.
But then the Lacey character is the one that's filthy rich, though, too. So she can have it.
They both are.
Everybody's got money.
But it was more realistic, though. Emma coming from Italy, it's like a couple of hours. So that's more realistic
Oh,
to
yeah,
hop on
yeah.
a plane than, Lacey being in Boston and hopping on a plane. And what is it? Probably like 6 or 7 hours.
I just think it's insane in these movies that you never see the other couples together in each other's movies. In other words, like in Tracy's movie, Lacey's husband is never seen on screen and Emma's husband is never seen on screen, even when they're like at events you would typically bring a spouse to, like a wedding.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's weird.
So then Emma's like, oh yeah, you know what? I will she's like, I heard about the urn and I will gladly do a video for this. It's not a problem at all.
That's a friend.
So then the next day we have our obligatory Greek ruins scene. And so the reason why, so Emma, Tracy, Avery, and Nick all go to the ruins is because I guess every week the headmaster takes Leo's class to the ruins. And so they're going to wait and just be like, oh, wow, what a coincidence. It's Leo's class. I want to make a video. So
do you think it would be funny, like if you're actually on vacation in Greece and you see there's like a film crew set up and you can't actually go visit and look at the Greek ruins because Hallmark is filming a movie there?
Right. I'd be so pissed.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be in and out quickly.
So then...
Oh, no, I visit the craft services. I get excited.
Of course you would.
Yeah.
Like, you'd have baklava.
I pretend I worked on the movie.
So then they talk to the headmaster, and the headmaster is actually like, okay, fine, because it involved making a lot of money going to the school. And so then they were like, Tracy was like, well, Leo wants to be in the movie as well. And I know you probably need to get permission from his parents, but can we do that? And that's when the headmaster's like, oh, Leo's an orphan and he lives at the school full time. And that's why I've been telling Leo to not focus on art because it's a waste of your time and pursue a real career because you're an orphan and you got nobody to protect you. And so then all three of them were like, well, we all studied art and we all have successful careers in art. And I do like the fact also that they studied art, but all of their successful careers are actually behind the scenes to prove that there are many aspects
there's like
world
jobs. Yeah, there's actual jobs. It's not just like, oh, I'm an artist.
Right. And they're like, we're all very successful at our jobs, in our careers. And then the headmaster's like, yeah, but you went to school for this, but I bet you had a safety net. He's an orphan. He has no safety net. And so,
and we also learn about the uncle. Leo's like only family is this uncle, but the uncle's, they don't come out and say it, but he's probably got dementia or something. He's or Alzheimer's, and so he doesn't really remember Leo or doesn't remember anyone or anything, and so. He doesn't want Leo going to see the uncle getting his heart broken again because he's worried this guy isn't going to remember him.
And this part I was like, the headmaster actually, he's a dick, but kind of not, because he does actually care about this kid.
Yeah, it was coming from
Where's this?
You dick!
That's what I needed.
You mentioned a few times that you like that sound, so I pulled it for you.
I love it. I appreciate that.
So then we see Nick back in the kitchen, and I gain respect for Xander because Xander's spying too. And he's like, I knew it. I knew you were like substituting my food because
immorality.
Even I knew that my food sucked, and I need you to help me because I've got this big meal to prepare to cook. So can you help me?
Follow the recipe. Why is it so bad?
Yeah, they never say.
Is it rotten? Like, because if you're going to almost throw up the food, that means it's
just he doesn't know how to mix flavors, probably. Xander probably had COVID, lost his taste, doesn't know it. He's getting all 4 guests sick.
Jesus Christ!
Like, where are all the other guests? Did they die from COVID because of Xander?
Great.
So I have a
bad cooking killed me.
So I am married to someone who isn't the best cook, and sometimes I make those faces when I get my dinner that they were making faces on this movie. And the reason why is because he decides, and I don't know if it's a British thing or what, but he decides to experiment with food. Mm-hmm. So, like, for example, he will be like, oh, I made this pasta sauce, and I taste the pasta sauce, and I'm like, ew, this tastes weird. And he's like, oh, because I decided to try putting yogurt in the pasta sauce. Or, oh, I'm having a sandwich. Do you want some? It's a peanut butter, bacon, and ketchup sandwich. So.
No.
Is your husband pregnant?
Well.
Just has like weird pregnancy cravings.
If he is, I need to get on like Entertainment Tonight or something stat, because that could be a career boost for me. So I could see Xander like making concoctions and making these weird combinations where the food would taste bad. Whenever like I come home and my husband's like, I've made dinner, I've tried something, I'm like, no. Like, I literally have to say, okay, I want spaghetti for dinner tonight, and I want just spaghetti with sauce and nothing weird in it. I have to stress, like, don't put anything weird in this.
So is he hurt by the fact that you don't like this experimentation, or does he know that, like, oh, that, he just doesn't care for my cooking and I'm okay with that?
Over the years, he's grown to accept it, because one time, and I think what helped is one time he made something and I actually got sick.
What I think is funny is that you were like kind of whispering this and talking to us intimately about this, but he listens to the podcast, doesn't he?
Yeah, sorry. No, but he knows I'm open.
I know.
I'm honest with how I feel about it, though. It's not a secret.
It felt like you were dishing, because you were even on camera to us. It looked like you were kind of like looking around, like, is he listening right now?
Well, this episode is just, riddled with troublesome news. Oh, well.
So anyway, so the headmaster ends up being fine with them making the video, and then Leo. So then we see Emma, and she's making the video, and then Leo has like a little cameo appearance where he jogs by, which is actually cute.
Yeah.
And so the next scene, they're also Colin and Tessa and Lady Dalton and all the girls, all the ladies, and Leo, they're all at dinner, like kind of celebrating the video. And this was a funny scene, because then they're like, oh, it's time to eat. And then Leo gets up and like starts walking away. And they're like, no, Xander didn't cook. Nick cooked. Come back.
No, he didn't think he should eat with everybody.
Oh, I thought it was. I thought that they were.
I thought he just felt.
I think
Yeah.
it was a little bit of both. I think it was a little bit of like he just felt like, oh, I don't belong here, but also like they wanted to assure him, hey, you don't need to run off for two reasons.
Because I love that. Nick, they're like, no, Xander didn't. Nick cooked it. So then, so then later, Nick wakes up, and this time Tracy's the one that's gone. And he goes in the kitchen, and she thinks she's making a peanut butter sandwich, but it's actually tahini.
Tahini and fish eggs.
What was it?
It was tahini and fish eggs. She got confused because nothing was labeled.
I see. Tahini. Yeah, I lost my place in my notes, but now I found it.
So then, she's like, thank you so much for being a good husband and helping out and being cool about this thing with Leo. And then she shows Nick a picture that Leo drew of the three ladies. And then she starts crying. She starts crying and she's like, I just want to help him. I just want to give him, I just want to help him. And, I want to take him to see his uncle. And so then the next scene, she's like, I want to take him to see his uncle. So then the next scene, though, Lady Dalton catches Tessa and Colin kind of giggling around, And so she's very happy about this. And then she gets a delivery. And so then we see Nick. Nick is jogging. He invites Leo. Leo's like hanging out in the street. Invites Leo to go jogging with him. They talk about Leo's mom. And they talk about Leo going to visit his uncle. And they were like, Nick is like, so what if your uncle doesn't remember you? And he's like, oh, well, you know what? That's fine anyway. And then this is the first time I started crying because my mom is dealing with dementia. And so it hit close to home. So
I loved this scene because it was a nice way to open the door to Nick not being such a brash, or in the view of Hallmark at least, a brash New Yorker. It softens him. And it was just a night I kind of didn't expect this beat in the movie of a nice heart to heart between his character and the boy.
So then they, so then they go to see the uncle. And then the uncle remembers him. And then that got me again.
Yeah. Well, this is where I wanted to give my compliment. Because I know I give these movies, like these Wedding Veil movies, a hard time sometimes. But I will say that I want to give, in all honesty, I want to give a sincere compliment to the producers and the writers of this movie because, because I deal with this as well. I have a family member who has dementia. And even though they don't, they deal with it somewhat superficially, but they go into a little bit. But just the fact that they acknowledge this, just the fact that they handled this the way they did, I have a lot of respect for that. Because that's the thing is that the more people become aware of this, better things are going to be. So.
Yeah, and that's really important that you share that too, Kurt. Yeah. Thank you.
So that I was like, damn, this movie, they start getting me. So then we find out that Tracy has actually been looking for art schools for Leo to go to, but she finds out that the schools are very expensive. And I love this line because Nick was like, how expensive? And she's like, even Avery would flinch. And Avery is like the rich one.
Yeah.
Who lives in the house that looks like a castle. So then Lady Dalton starts talking to Tracy, and she's like, she comes with this box. And she's like, listen, I have this box. This box is full of letters. I've been waiting for an occasion to actually, auction off the letters. And so what I would like to do is I would like to auction off these letters and use the money that I make as a scholarship for Leo.
We skipped over some stuff here too that we should.
Oh, what did I skip over?
Did you mention the Tessa and Colin sharing the kiss? Did you talk about that?
Is that the one that Lady Dalton saw them?
Oh, that did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. They had a kiss, and then cut ahead a little bit to when they were talking about the schools. Important detail about the. There was one that was like super expensive. That's the one that's 12 blocks away from where Tracy lives in New York City.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, that's going to be an important detail later, obviously.
That's right.
Let's just think of Akbar. He's
So-
going through some things.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we know these letters are sincere? Because wasn't there that movie with Melissa McCarthy where she was writing the letters?
I think Lady Dalton is, she can pick locks.
Even whether she is or isn't, wouldn't that be Tracy's actual career? Is verifying that this stuff is real, so that you can sell it at auction. So you have to get like letters of authenticity. You need to be able to verify it somehow.
Right. So then it was, and so Lady Dalton was like, so I want to auction. So she's like, I will use some of the money and give it to you as a scholarship for Leo. And then she's like, oh, then I'll use some of it and I'll buy, because I want Colin and Tessa to get married, and I'll buy a little cottage here, like a 5 or 6 room thing. And so then, Tracy asks her, so what's so special about these letters? And she's like, well, let's just say these are letters by people with the last names of, Spencer, Windsor, Mountbatten,
Varney,
Churchill. Yeah, that's. I think in this scene she could have just casually said McCartney.
Right.
Said some other ones. Yeah.
McCartney.
Shore.
Pauly Shore.
Yeah, Pauly Shore.
Yankovic.
I love Weird Al. Okay.
So then that basically solves her problem. And and then also this is where they discuss that, hey, if Leo comes to the school, he can just live with us. She brings it up with Nick. Mm-hmm. And Nick kind of says, at first I didn't picture myself being that kind of person that bakes cannolis for a kids at bake sale. Right. And Tracy's like crying. She's like, okay, if that's what you want, that's kind of what I've always wanted too, is to not become parents. I'm fine with that, I guess. And then he turns around and he's like, but actually, now that this kid's been around, the more I think about it, this is what I want. I can see myself being a dad.
You're skipping over the baby part.
Over the what?
And then
you're skipping over the baby part, so you don't have some colicky baby screaming all the time. You don't have to deal with that. And your kid's not the omen. The kid's always seems like a good kid.
And then this one got me again. I started crying again because my husband and I, listeners, are in the process of adopting a little boy around this kid's age. So I was like, oh.
Not that kid. Did you cry during To Leslie?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did. Because parts of that hit, because full disclosure to listeners as well, I'm in recovery. So parts of To Leslie hit way too close to home. So that got me too. A
very special episode of Hallmark.
So I ranted about this in I think the first of this second trilogy's movie where they kept referring to Tracy and would make jokes about her wanting kids, and she made a big deal of I don't want kids, and they made such a big deal. I went on a rant of they're in her movie, they're going to make it the focus. She's going to want a baby, or she's going to go from not wanting kids to all of a sudden she's going to want a baby, and I'm going to be mad. So they didn't go that route, but they did. They swerved over into the lane a little bit by her having this change of heart and wanting kids, because I don't think every single female that constantly talks through their life of how they don't want kids does eventually come around to want kids. There are definitely women that are like, no, it's not for being a parent is not for me. I'm okay with that decision, and you should be too. And this movie did that same thing of like, they made it where she wants to be a mom now. It's gonna happen.
I think though that they kind of got out of it though. Like, and this is jumping ahead a little bit, when at the end and they're at the wedding, because of course Tessa and Colin end up getting married, and Leo runs up to Tracy, and they're all sitting there, and he calls her mom, and the other two are like, oh, he called you mom, and she's like, well, you know what, we're not making a big deal of it, we take it day by day, and whatever happens. Yeah. So I think they kind of
I think that was a good parenting move, and I think this very next beat of where we're at in the movie, it redeemed the movie. Like, the one thing about the movie I didn't like was that whole undercurrent of, oh, she's gonna eventually want a baby. They kind of put in such a big, heavy, emotional moment that was well acted and well written that I was like, okay, all right, you won me back. I was slipping away. You won me back with the headmaster yelling at Tracy for suggesting even bringing Leo to the States.
Yeah, and then I like that because then she yells at him back.
Yeah,
you know. She yells at him back.
She has a great monologue here where, because like Leo overhears him yelling at them. So he runs up crying, and Tracy says to Mr. Papadopoulos, she's like, what do you do for fun? What do you do to unwind? And he starts listing off like, I read, I go to the movies, I sing in choir. And Tracy just points out, those are beautiful forms of art.
Right.
Get with the program, dude.
Yeah. And I was like, and this part is where I wondered, did the same people write all three movies?
Yeah, they did. I just looked it up.
Yeah. Well, I guess they ate their Wheaties for this last one.
Yeah.
Because it was way better than the other half.
Yeah, yeah.
It was, yeah.
Like, this honestly could have been a standalone movie.
Yeah.
For the most part.
I think the problem with these, and maybe that this problem will shape shift over time, but the problem with this second three set of movies is, after setting up the central romance of each movie, the last two movies they were trying to kind of running in circles, trying to figure out ways to center the movie back on these couples, and I think they just figured out the formula on this last one.
Yeah. So it's the end. Tracy and Nick are heading back to New York. They're getting ready to leave, and then right when they're getting ready to leave, Mr. Papadopoulos shows up with Leo and says it's okay for him to go. And he's like, we're probably going to have to go through a lot of red tape.
He's like, he's starting to get on my nerves this morning. You could take him.
Right. And so then it goes to 1 year later. Ooh. And we're at Colin and Tessa's wedding. And then we find out that Nick's sister is also getting married. And so, and then, I already talked about the part that, where Leo called Tracy mom, and Tessa thanks them, for the veil. And then they asked, Emma and Avery asked Tracy, okay, do you finally believe in this veil? And Tracy's like, okay, yes, I do. Because basically, they're pretty much, what was it? They were 7 for 7 as far as,
Yeah, 7 times.
So then, because then Nick's sister is getting married too, and the other ladies are like, well, we're going to crash it too.
Yeah, because that's all they do is they go to the weddings of these people that have touched this veil.
Right. And that's it. They've made a career out of that. So then at the last scene, they were going shopping through Greece, and this shopkeeper calls them into a shop, and he starts telling him, you know, there's this necklace, and there's a story behind this necklace, and starts telling them the story. So I think it's kind of set up in a way that if they want to have more, they could have more about the necklace.
And they should have done that with these 3 movies about the christening gown. I don't know why they shied away from that.
Yeah, but I think... Oh, no, go ahead.
No, I think the necklace is going to lead to the anal beads trilogy that we're going to see next year.
Fine.
You never know.
They can use it in the Wedding Veil. What's the other one I said? The Wedding Veil Throuple.
Throuple.
Yes, the throuple. Throuple beads.
But I do think, though, that, you know, they should just end now. They've ended it on an up note. They ended it with a good movie. So they should, just leave it alone.
You know, learn from Jason Voorhees. Stop making movies because they're not going to get any better.
And speaking about leaving alone, I got to leave you two alone because I got to head to Akbar. But before I go to Akbar, if you want to find me, you can find me at my website, leskirkendallbarrett.com, or you can find me on Instagram at Kirkendall Jason.
Please rate and review the podcast wherever you listen to us. Give us 5 stars. It helps more people find the show. And write a little review. Let us know what you're thinking. You can follow us all on Instagram and Facebook at Lifetime of Hallmark Podcast. And you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Big Shot Jason. Kurt.
I'm at the Rogue Festival with my show, The Jester of All Maladies. That's the Rogue Festival in Fresno, California, the first week of March. I have to learn my lines.
Yeah, you better, because after you see Kurt with his lines learned, you can come see my show, The Royal Black Swan, Confessions of America's First Black Drag Queen, which is also going to be at the Rogue Festival. And I'm going to spend the Rogue Festival tormenting Kurt Fitzpatrick and dragging him to gay bars, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but see, you already gave me a heads up, so I know what to look out for.
Oh, I have tricks up my sleeve.
Yeah. Don't forget, Les is a trickster. He is a lady detective. Right. He knows what he's doing.
Yes, exactly.
See about that.
And on that note, I've got to take my lady detective ass to a gay bar now. So I'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.